Hello, everybody. One second, folks. I got a little bit of professional phlegm. Sorry. Hey, welcome to Game Cave Development. Let me go ahead and take my glasses off so I don't have a giant reflection in my face. What's up? So, let me adjust the lighting just a little bit. Oh, there we go. Look at that. Look at the mood lighting we got going on right here. It's pretty amazing. Hey, what's up, Brain Gamer? So, hey, if you guys hang out in the chat room when I stream, I point you out. So, all right, that's good enough. I'll deal with it later. So, joining me tonight is JMRT, Jessica James. Jessica, say hello.
Hello, everybody.
I almost say Jessica Jones every time. Do you get that often now? Is that something that happens?
Yeah.
Or am I the only one? Yeah. You're like, yeah. It's old, Rob. Really tired of it. Season 2 sucked. So, I'm being facetious. All right, let's start with what you've been working on, which is the Briar Bay 3D model. Let's go get an update on that. So, let's jump to the Cintiq really quickly.
Okay.
And where are we at with this?
So, since our last update, we've filled in the pier. We have more buildings on the outside now. See around.
Nice.
Oh, it's just froze on me. Give me a second.
Sure. So you know we're using TeamViewer to like stream from my computer to her computer. So
there we go.
Yeah. So you've
All
gone
right.
in really quickly before you jump there. So what you've done is go back to the front of the pier. So yeah. So what you've done is you put the buildings that used to be on this outside edge here on the inside edge, right?
Right.
And then you went and filled out these extra buildings along the side.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead and do we have a? You can zoom in there so people can kind of see the efforts that you've put in.
Yeah.
Are each one of those people tagged with the camera or just specific cameras?
Let's see. Yeah, we can view a camera.
So you went and tagged a camera onto a person so we can see some of the street level stuff here. Oh my goodness.
So now I can view a person level.
Wow.
See all the details.
Ooh. Super nice. And that's what it's like. Boots on the ground. Look at that giant pumpkin teeth. That's the whole reason why. Look at that. I love the way the cathedrals stick up so it looks like those giant. Oh, it's going to be awesome when the castle goes to the center there and it's got those little bat ears. It's going to be like bat ears sticking up.
Mm-hmm.
So super exciting. Love it.
Yeah. Okay. And then we made some updates to the bridge. So they're a little more flush now on the bridge, and then they hang on the backside.
All right. So this bridge area I sort of consider like a main street, you know, like kind of like, you know, when you go to Disneyland and you see that like train tower or the train, you know, and you go under the bridge. Like this is that kind of like idea in my head, you know. So that looks great.
Yeah. Let's see. And then we added a park in the middle.
Yeah, that's just like a placeholder spot for illustration purposes.
Yeah.
And that looks great. Look at that. Wow. Let's go boots on the ground and see what it's like to look at the park.
All right. Oh,
wrong camera. You should probably label them park.
One. They are labeled.
Waiting. Where's the park?
Entrance. Okay, so here's the entrance. Here's the park level. So now you're looking out at the bridge. Out.
Right.
You can see it different sides.
Mm-hmm.
And then this is towards entering the pumpkin.
Super nice. I like it. And you can see Game Cave right there. What I like about this is from the very entrance, you can kind of see how it all heads toward Game Cave, which is the store, that game store back there. So that was always the goal, and it's working out. So super awesome.
All right. Oh.
And then those, so people know, these little towers right here, just point down to the left a little bit. We can show those little like castle towers. Those we're going to add around the area last. So you've modeled those, and then once everything's done, we will put those. Yeah, this used to be a military fort about 1,000 years ago. So it's called Fort Jacks. And so you've got some basic pumpkins you modeled, and you got these little military fort cannons and stuff. And so we will put this stuff around, set dressing around the area last, once everything else is done, just to kind of pump up the military fort idea. So awesome.
Yeah. So on the inside of it, we laid out the city. We have layers around the castle middle now.
Oh, look at that. You got the little steps. So this was a step where I wanted this. There's a level of city that circles around. This center tube you see here, folks, is actually a giant castle. It's a castle that's going to come straight through the center like a candle wick. And then it's going to, the repeating motif throughout this entire piece will be these chandelier pieces. So similar to what's in the front toward the docks, there's these little chandelier pieces. They'll be sticking out. So this castle goes 360 degrees up in the air, little like chandelier looking things. So, and so you've started by adding the city, the little buildings that go around the base of that castle.
Yeah, and I tried laying out the stairs and they didn't quite look right, so I got to work on that. But there will be stairs that'll kind of lean in towards Game Cave.
Oh, something you and I talked about, so that the audience knows is right around this area here, we're going to have these curved stairways or something that kind of go like not so much pointing to Game Cave, but kind of pointing this way. So when you're looking at it, it'll look like you can go this way, you can go that way. So go ahead and just, I don't want to do it. Could you just zoom around the entire base so we can see all the... Yeah, that's why I didn't want to do that. Yeah. There's a little bit of a delay on my end.
Hold on.
There you go.
Okay.
Yeah, look at all that. And again, I want to describe to people, this is, you've only modeled 12 buildings?
Right.
Yeah, you've only modeled 12 buildings, and actually, to be fair, you've only modeled half of 12 buildings. So really 6 when you think about it, 6 full buildings. So you've modeled half of each building, then duplicated that half over through instancing. Is that the right, or mirroring?
Mirroring.
Okay, mirroring.
The other side, one side of the building to create the second half.
And those are in a separate toolkit that's off to the side of the model. And then all of these buildings are instancing those models. What is instancing?
So instancing is where it basically duplicates, and whatever changes you make to the original building in the toolkit, it'll change all the other buildings that you just created.
But what that means is we're not actually drawing 10 million polygons in this scene, right? We're only drawing the 12 polygons. I mean, it still affects rendering times to an extent, but in terms of real time, it's almost free geometry. So it's not having to redraw this every time. Now, this model right now in its current form moves 100 times faster than when we had Monopoly piece buildings. Remember when we first did a version of this called Briar Bay about 2 years ago, and we used Monopoly style looking buildings, and it was chugging because each one of those I just copied and pasted and repeated to kind of block everything in, and that was like do just to look around. And
Mhm.
so when I conjured up this stupid idea last year to redo everything, when I came up with Briar Bay, this pumpkin, this jack-o'-lantern cave, which I thought would, how do I say this, folks? You need iconography in anything you do. And if you think about the best superhero, the best stories, there's always some kind of iconic, that's the word, iconic setting. Like you have a Death Star in Star Wars, and Batman, you got the Batcave, and Justice League, you got the Hall of Justice, Super Friends. And in this case, He-Man Castle Grayskull, I wanted Game Cave. I wanted the word Game Cave, a game store located in a cave. How would they come up with the name Game Cave? They had to build the store in a cave. Wasn't my initial idea, but that's, when you go through the story, you iterate. So I did the sketch, and then I went back and I told you about it, and you did that. What do we call that, Jess? The long sigh, right? the like, is this guy just signing me up to endlessly work on things that will never get produced? Like sigh, right?
Right.
I bet you felt that way. It's fair. Yeah, I get it. But I gave you assurances that I will not come up with a new thing later on, right? Like
Right.
this is the thing. And I
Yes.
I got to tell you folks, having worked with art directors who constantly change their ideas halfway through production, it's not good. But nothing about this project was done in the way I would normally develop a project. So I just sat at my desk a little over a year and a half ago. It was when I first moved to Boise, and I was sitting in this room and I sketched this out. I'm like, that's where Game Cave has to be, and I have to go and just give you assurances that if I change it again, you can quit, right? Like,
Yeah.
I said, you can walk away. Just be like, I'm out of here. I got better shit to do in my life. So, but you stuck with it, and this is looking like everything I ever dreamt. I always wanted Game Cave to kind of look like a cross between Dofus and Dragon Quest. If you're aware what Dofus is, it's a RPG world video game / anime that Ankama produces, and Dragon Quest. So, which is that medieval monster based. They're kind of all the same when you think about it. So I wanted it to have that kind of feel. And this looks spot on, Jess. I love it.
Yay.
Yay. I know, right? Look at this. Look how amazing this is. It's looking like it. All right. So what else we got?
All right. So I don't know if the viewers saw the updated Game Cave yet, because it's much bigger now, wider. We have the sign up front.
Oh, yeah. Look at, she plugged in the little sign. Demo. All right. I know, right?
Yeah. I think we have our people scale up to size now.
Mm-hmm. Hector had a question about the 80s mall idea. I've pitched this before. It's still in this. It's just a separate part. So first things first, we got to build the 0 volume is volume 0-0. So the 80s mall thing doesn't arrive till 1-0. So first things first. All right. So this is the actual store where they sell games. Yep. Looks about right. So pretty big. That's the way I wanted it. All right. Looks great.
All right. And then we can also see from the people's perspective.
From the people's perspective. Why is this important to see from the people's perspective? So we really get a sense of, like personally speaking, how this all fits, and that this is going to go up into the pumpkin. So really good, love it.
All right.
Anything else?
I think that was it from our last talk.
Any challenges you encountered doing the current updates? Anything that was a real nightmare?
Um, it's now I'm finding out different pieces aren't touching the ground, and different pieces, once you move something, sometimes it just likes to move on its own. So it's kind of cleaning up as I'm
Right.
also updating.
Right.
But uh, challenges, not so much right now. It was a lot of challenges, building each building before we instanced it.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
How did you learn how to instance the stuff? What did you reference? What did you?
I believe you had mentioned it, and then I started researching. I read a lot of articles. I started reading from the Autodesk website. They have a lot of tutorials and step by steps. So I kind of went through those, and once you start using it, start understanding the mechanics of it.
And I said it would take about 2 years to do this model, right?
Yeah.
And that's where we're at, folks. So I have a friend who's in production at game studios. He just did. If you saw that, the Justin Roiland from Rick and Morty, they launched a trailer right at E3 for a game that's very Rick and Morty-ish, and so he did all the tech for that, the coding. And I was talking to him before we started this, and he did this little mini demo in Unreal 4 using the Jolly Dagger, and he was like, "Let's make a game," and I was like, "Oh, I like Star Fox and open world," and I'm like, "Well, look, I'm not a modeler, but I know Jessica, but it's going to take about 2 years to get her to the point at a minimum." And he was like, "Oh, sure." Well, he got back a hold of me and saw this. He's like, "You really weren't joking on that 2 years thing. Like you like it really is." He's looking at what you're doing and he sees where we were. And I'm like,
Yeah.
"Yeah, it's gonna take about 2 years just to get to the point where we kind of know what we're doing, kind of. Like, and then you drop it into Unreal or Unity and it all falls apart, and then you have to like iterate and fix. So it's like going to second college, right?"
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
Yeah, and I'm experiencing very similar. I'll talk about this later, but very similar situation with my game art development in terms of what I'm doing professionally right now at Game Studio. So there's a very similar uh, parallel, wherein what I'm doing right now at Game Studios is helping me to make this a reality, but not just a reality that's possible with a minimal crew. But it's like basically going back to school. Only I'm getting paid and you aren't. Sorry. So, that's why when we go to recreate, when we go to, once this is done and the current backers get their issues, we'll go back to Kickstarter for this issue, mostly just so Jam Artsy can get some kind of payment for her efforts, even if it's, not, I don't know. I don't know what we could do, but enough to be like, there's a trip to a nice dinner, I guess. So whatever. Okay, so what are the next steps? What did we talk about doing
All right.
next?
Next, I am going to see how many buildings fit in these large towers. We kind of have that microculture inside the towers and see what fits in there.
Yeah, that's
We
just
were going.
numbers work that I
Hmm.
need for story stuff, as well as we put the towers in the castle. I want to make sure we're not overdoing it. Like
Right.
even if it visually looks nice, I want to make sure we're not like overpopulating the city, you know?
Right.
So,
And then we'll also start creating this chandelier that goes, oops, whoa,
oh,
sorry.
and that's what happens.
Creating the chandelier that goes inside the pumpkin
Great.
so that it'll start hanging down.
And that's utilizing pieces we've already modeled, no new modeling.
Right.
I've been very specific about that, right?
Hmm.
Yeah, I don't want you to do any new modeling unless we absolutely have no choice, which I don't think we should have to. So, and you're only gonna have to like, I would start around this base area, so we can start there, and I think it would be a little
Hmm.
bit. It's gonna get a little. I want to kind of fan out and then get thinner toward the top. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
or thinner here and bigger at the top, but I don't know. It might be thinner here and bigger at the top now that I think about it, because there's more. Well, not really, because there's more space out here. So bigger and then thinner. Let's try that.
Okay. So,
Do it as fast as possible, and then next week just give me a personal update, and we can see which
okay.
one looks better. Don't make it perfect. Just do one where it's bigger and then thinner, and then the other side where it's thinner and it's bigger. And whichever version we go with, we'll just, you know what I mean? Like fix that
Got
left
it.
and then mirror it, so you're not overdoing it.
Okay.
Yeah. And you only really have to do this quarter area here because we're going to duplicate it that way
Right.
and then mirror that. Yeah. So mirror and then double mirror, whatever that's called. Okay. And then the top too, which is going to be made by scaling
Hmm.
existing pieces upward and just shove those in there too, so we can build that little bat top you have from the. You have the
Okay.
concept there, right? So you kind of know what I'm going
Right.
for. All right. And then when we're done with that, what do we have left?
And then,
I think that's it.
let's see.
The
Yeah,
cannon
we didn't
placements.
have. Yeah, the cannon.
Cannon placements, and then when we're done with that, you are going to make a fly through, right? Like a
That's right.
yeah.
Yes, a
So
video.
we're gonna make a video with full. Do you have an example of a rendered image so people can kind of see what it looks like with?
Yeah, let's
Yeah,
create
grab one of
one.
those real quick. Is it rendering it now? It
Oh,
crashed, right?
it crashed.
Yeah, you can just bring open one of the ones you've already
Okay,
rendered. You
let's
don't have
see.
to.
Yeah,
There we
here
go.
was one of them.
So this is like a lower res here, but it's remember this is streaming from her computer to mine, so this is where you get all this artifacting and stuff. So we will render something that has wireframed and has ambient lighting, right? Basic ambient lighting.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, and we'll do a nice little fly through. You sent me like a 30-second or 60-second like quick one, but it's not it's too fast for people to really understand. But that'll be one,
Yeah.
yeah. And that'll be nice. We'll have that set up, and then you will be done with this. Then after that, then you're gonna do interior modeling for Game Cave, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, and
Yep.
that's gonna be pretty easy. It's not gonna be too difficult. I just want to have, folks. It's just I want to be very consistent with this stuff. So I got a lot to do with this, and I just don't want to have to fake a lot of way through it. So there you go. And then I think after that, we got low poly versions of vehicles we're gonna do for internal testing. So other stuff. So yeah, great job, Jess. Anything you want to add?
Thanks. No, I'm excited that we're finally like seeing some progress. Finally coming towards the end.
You mean
Coming all
ending? Not,
together.
you've been making progress, but you mean like an end
Yeah.
to this particular. It's tough staring at the same thing for a year, right?
Yeah. It was nice to actually start laying out the buildings because I felt like, we were done editing. Now it's just laying things out.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that look, I spent recently 300 hours staring at one image for a client and working on it for almost 2 months. And just, it when you add up the hours, you start going, okay, I'm on hour 200, hour 300, and how Lord knows how many hours are on this. So, it takes mental fortitude, folks. But I really think how do I want to say this? I think that you better be prepared to see a project through. It's not enough to just conjure up stuff. Anyone can conjure up a million ideas, but seeing a project through to completion is a talent set in of itself. And Jessica, having gone to the Art Institute as well, um, how many kids do you think you went to school with could have seen a project like this through to the end?
Not too many.
Not too many.
Um, most of my colleagues were more 2D artists, illustrators.
And they get tired of 11-week classes.
Yeah.
You know, they get like, oh, it's been 3 weeks on this. I just don't care anymore. I'm like, you realize the what? You know? So, yeah. Anyhow, that's it. That's all I got for you. I will get back to whatever I have to talk about. Anything else?
No, that's it for me.
All right. Thanks. Thanks, Jessica. Appreciate it.
All right. Bye,
Bye.
everyone.
Bye. There we go. I'm supposed to always turn the third light off to make it more cavey in here. All right. So what have I been doing? A couple things. One I could talk about, one I can't talk about. So let me start with what I can talk. Actually, let me start with what I can't talk about and show you how it informed what I can talk about. So what I can't talk about is this week I had some deadlines with my game stuff, and what it has done is, how do I say this? So I have long known that my art process is too complicated and takes too long. It was really designed around doing independent comic books, like maybe doing one 3-issue series a year in my free time. As I ramp up, and it was based around having a colorist, maybe an inker, but that is impossible when you have to do everything. And when you have to do everything, you have to start finding things to cut out and how to get your art to a perceived level of completion to where it gets the storytelling across, it's composed well, but I'm not spending a tremendous amount of time on rendering, especially with storytelling, because if I spend forever noodling a panel, you're going to read it in 2 seconds. May I win an award or praise from my fellow artists for being the world's greatest artist? Maybe. Chances are not, you know. Matter of fact, I sort of feel, having done a few covers that were over-rendered, a lot of times it just gets very confusing. And the phrase that comes to mind is, when you show everything, you emphasize nothing. And so that philosophy over the last year has guided me towards developing an art style that will be able to not just get this project done, which is one thing in my, for me, it's about being able to move forward with all my ideas every year. 1 book a year, and then possibly 2 books a year moving forward, or year and a half. So, 0.75 books a year, however that works out. And so what I've been doing at work is a level of detail that gets me there because they have needs that are now and they're immediate. And so if I know it's good enough for some really fantastic artists and some really fantastic art directors, then I know it will work in webcomics without a doubt. And so that's what I've been doing. I can't show any of it, but I assure you it's getting worked into GameCube. So I have these peaks and valleys right now at production where I write in the morning, and then sometimes I'm able to work on GameCube, but then I have these deadlines that don't let me. Now, part of that point is I'm tackling 5 different things at a time right now. One is PowerPrint artwork. All the PowerPrint artwork, which are this Darksiders and stuff I've been working on, it's for GameCube. So I've made sure that all the PowerPrint stuff is going into GameCube as a game. Because of that, I've had to endlessly work out the document and the story flow for GameCube. And this week I put in, let me show you this to you. So this week, this is what I call a dev doc. I talked about this in the last podcast, what a dev document is. sometimes called a flat plan or a pagination. So I had a version of this called version 6 I've been working from for the past year, and I thought it worked perfectly. It was 192 pages. I had to increase it to 4 pages, but what I also had to do was go and take, originally every game review was 12 pages long because it's digest size now. But I wrote the story stuff for 4 pages. 4 pages. And it once I wrote it all out, which I have it, it wasn't working in 4 pages. I needed something closer to 10 pages or 8 pages. 10 to 8 pages. It's 8-page area to make that fit. Which means I had to go through and I wanted every one of these sections that's going to have, these are all game review sections. I wanted these to be consistent. Now I already wrote the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. That's done. I'm not changing it. I'm not editing it. Nothing. I was able to get it to 10 pages just by taking 2 pages that were all graphical, cutting them out, and shoving stuff up. That I could do without changing my layouts, my writing, or anything. But that meant that I had to go and do that again across each section. So each section is a 10-pager plus 2 8-pagers. This is only for Game Cave 0-0. Moving forward with 1-0, it'll be one game that's probably 12 pages long. This is just because this project is this constant like building, try it, break, build, fix it, try it, break, fix it, try it, break, fix it, fits. So I need, from the story perspective, moving forward, to be able to say, people want to know what Game Cave is, I can hand them 0-0. And it's the entire history of the store from day one. Actually, it starts out where 1-0 starts out, and then it goes through the history of each era. So this will be the thing I can set up when people want to know what Game Cave is. I point them right to this 0-0. So it has this history thing, and the history is being told through developer interview. The format for that actually looks a lot like Nintendo. Actually, I think if I go to story, novella, intro, which one of these is it? I believe it's this. So this is kind of the format. It will be an interview style. Written similar to these. So Nintendo started doing this years ago where they would go back and discuss a project and they would do it with the original developers. And so there'd be this conversation where they're having, which each developer, in this case it's 3, it's Miyamoto, Takashi Tezuka, and Koji Kondo. And so this is the kind of format that they're going to be talking about the history of Game Cave, about the history of Game Cave. They're going to be talking about the history of Game Cave. So that's how I'm writing it. It's already worked out in terms of basic bits, but it needs to be then pulled forward and forward. So this is the intro. And then again, see, I had to move this to 8 pages because once I got this, I started doing word counts just based on this. This is raw stuff. Once you flesh this out, so I plugged these word counts into my InDesign document and realized, oh, not going to fit in 4 pages. So then I had to go and do these adjustments. So that was this past 2 weeks. On top of that, I've been doing this concept art stuff that's helping me. It's teaching me how to do all of this fast. And again, I got to stress, folks, like if you really want to see the level of fastness we're talking about, you really need to look no further than the main page. And you can see like the rough way I drew myself here, the Mega Potato, and to a lesser extent, or to a similar extent, this piece here. This is how all this sequential art will be drawn. I'll have a version of this when I'm done with the Darksiders art. There's an X-Men piece that's coming that I'm going to be using for Game Cave for Children of the Atom, that's going to be drawn and colored exactly like this, the whole piece. So that means the same level of sketchiness or scribbliness for the exterior art, so forth and so forth. So as opposed to trying to do everything perfectly like this, it would just not, it's impossible. It cannot be done. However, it's also unacceptable for me to do it like this. This is not enough. This is this is not a comic book. This is a concept. So it's been getting to the point. This is the X-Men piece. So you can see here, this is not acceptable. But this rendered through the lens of this, I think, is not only more than acceptable. Honestly, folks, I believe it's the future of 90% of my art. So I'm going to save the big rendering for traditional stuff like, we come back really quickly, like my commissions like this Wolverine and this Hulk and like this kind of Gambit. Like I'm going to save my big illustration stuff for that. You know, commissions and traditional art. But my digital stuff is going to go 100% like this. Thanks, Hector says you would not be mad. So I just keep sharing this with you because for the fans and for the backers who've been following me this far, just understand, like, this is the reality of, like, I've been trying to find, I always said when I started the Power Prints in the Game Cave, it's going to force me to become the artist I need to be to make all my ideas happen. And that can't be me pretending to be 4 different artists. I have to do things within limitations, but they also need to be good enough to where it goes, oh, that's awesome, that's fun, that's cool. And it's just been trying to become that. And there's no template for this, you know. There's no formula. It's just iteration, iteration, failure, succeed, failure, succeed, failure, succeed. And I've been putting it to test financially with my freelance work. And unfortunately, the freelance work has cut into all of this. 100% it's cut into this. But hey, man, it's working on games, folks. And can we really complain? Now, in terms of what I have been doing, you can see here, this is the current Darksider piece that I've been working on. I do have on the YouTube channel some real-time art already up. And if we just pause it, we can come here and just turn the speed up to 2% and kind of see, this is what I've been working on. So you can see we're working on the face. Well, let's kind of go back this way. There. Let's go back a little bit so we can kind of see some of the face being drawn there. Yay! So this was fun. Now what I have to do is I have to pare down a few things. So commissions are going to stop for the foreseeable future. I have this Sonic thing I have to finish, which means 1 or 2 days this week will be devoted to pushing that out as much as possible. Once that's out, no more commissions until Power Prints is done. So that means no more color pencil work for the foreseeable future. There's nothing I can do about that. The reason why is I got an extension on a contract coming up, game art-wise, and I cannot keep this going with commissions and Power Prints and Game Cave and freelance. It can't happen. It also means that the only freelance I'm going to be doing right now is for some game studios. So that's it. No more extracurricular stuff. The Power Prints will take over that point, and the thing in between will be Game Cave and Megavision. So Megavision's magazine is graphic design that I've been doing. And I have no choice but to do this because this is a layout I'm working on right now. Because I have to get this game magazine stuff making money. So it's going in here. When I'm done with this, then I work on Game Cave full time and then back on this and then Game Cave part of full time. When I'm on this, I'm on Game Cave half time or quarter time until I work it all out. Once the Power Prints goes away, Game Cave becomes that spot. And then things get pared down over the next year. I understand it's taking forever, folks. I get it. Believe me, I understand. But this is life. This is life for me. This is just the way it's going to be. It's going to get done, but you just got to understand that uh, I've had to do this while I rebuild my entire career. You know, um, but it is getting done. This week, I'm going to finish up the Street Fighter 2 review. Street Fighter 2 review. That'll be finished up writing wise this week for Game Cave. And then I've already blocked in all the story elements that I need for the story stuff. They're all bullet pointed. So they're ready to go to a Rev 1 document. Sorry, I get a little gassy sometimes when I talk. I probably don't breathe enough when I talk. And then I got the Battletoads to write after that. What happens is my writers, Graham is going to write the Battletoads. That'll take him a bit. So while he's doing that, I work on the story stuff. And when the Battletoads comes in, then I'll write the Battletoads. Once Era 1 is done, all 3 games are written, then I'm going to make the layouts. Because what I need to do is plug in the remaining dialogue for the next 2 and make sure these layout templates will work for all 3. Once I guarantee they work, then I'm going to build one master template that gets recolored with new screens put into it, if that makes any sense. So right now, you've seen it before. It's the same layout, the TMNT layout. I need to refigure it for digest format. That same layout will be used across Era 1. I'll get those done. When Era 1 is complete, then I'll work on Era 2, Era 3, so forth and so forth. So, it's a lot, folks. I won't lie. But it's never intimidating or like, I don't want to do this anymore. It's just, I wish there was a way to make it happen faster because I want everyone to see what's up in the noggin as quick as possible. But I can't make it move any faster than this. But I'm super excited. There's what do you call that? There's the finish lines in sight. So it's just developing and making the processes a little bit more efficient and a little bit more manageable. And once I get to the point where it's ready to start really being shown and I'm consistent with it, like I know, okay, this week I produce this week I produce that, and every week I'm producing stuff. Once that happens, what I'm going to do is build a page on like Webline Tune or one of these webcomic spots, and I will start to post this stuff regularly up there. So you're going to be able to see all this stuff published regularly at some point there as a webcomic or whatever the hell else it's called. And then, yeah, up until it's complete, and then I will ship it to backers. And then once that's complete, I will do a second Kickstarter to get that back out and do a second round of printing once it's complete, because why not, right? Give Jam Artsy some cash for her efforts and move on to volume 1-0. So right now, story-wise, Game Cave, I have it worked out quite a ways, but I'm really planning on just these first 2 volumes, 0-0 and 1-0. And if there's 0 interest, and I hate doing it past that, then the story will be complete. If I love it and the response is really, really overwhelming, then I will move toward volumes 2 and 3, and the story will be done. So there's a smaller story and a bigger story idea, but if the feedback is non-existent and it hasn't helped, then I'm going to move on to other fucking ideas. So I'm not wasting my time for the next 8 years working on something that no one gives a shit about. So, but I'm committed to doing volume 0 and 1-0. So, there you go. That's it, folks. That's all I got. Any questions out there? Psycho, Hector, anybody got any questions? Game Cave related? Anything? I'll give you a minute for the stream to catch up. Otherwise, nothing. We good? No questions. Just can't wait for it. Hey, me too, right? So, yeah, sounds cool. I will just continue to make these updates bi-weekly or so, every 2 or 3 weeks. I had hoped to have this complete by my 40th birthday, but I that was based on me not having a day job, doing, let alone game art. So the game thing came across, uh, and that just, what am I supposed to tell you guys? Hey, I got an opportunity to do game art. I had no idea if it was going to be 3 weeks of stuff or 3 months, but here we are a year. So no complaints. I'm super excited. But it's just the way it goes. It's the way it is to do. And I'm excited about the scribbly stuff. Well, you want to know what I'm excited about? It's scribblies. Scribblies. Mixing what I did with the roughies and the Digiscape landscape stuff with sequential storytelling and a little bit of novel style writing is super excited for me. I can't wait to make that happen on a regular basis, and as well as deal with the the 40% of the audience that's not going to get why there's so many words, but whatever. All right, everybody, I'm gonna head out of here. I got other stuff to do. I'm gonna work on Game Cave for the next, time is it, 10 o'clock? I got to work on that for the next 8 or 9 hours and push that out. So I got to push that out. Sometimes you got to, at the end of a project, you got to just shove it out the door, folks. So that's what's happening right there. This week, I will be pushing, I probably won't work on any Darksiders this week, folks, because I got to get that Sonic commission out the door by next weekend. Really, really have to do that. And there's no fast way to color pencil, so that's like, how many hours is that? So I got to get this Knuckles thing and get Tail started, and the next weekend lock myself here in the studio and stream. I'll probably be streaming for 8 to 10 hours at a time. You're going to see some extremely long streams with the Tail piece. So you know. There you go. Will I stream that? I will be streaming all scribbles moving forward, scribble styles, and sequential art for Game Cave. So, if you don't mind being spoiled, there you go. I don't really care about spoilers, in stories, as long as I go into it knowing. So, I will be streaming everything moving forward on that. The only thing I can't stream is, I don't stream the Megavision's layouts because no one cares and I gotta move super fast. No one really cares about that. So I make 5-minute podcasts. So there is a Making Megavisions podcast. I do about 5 minutes long that are on the YouTube channel now. So you can see how I make the graphic design stuff. And I can't stream any freelance. So that's how that works. Yeah, I'm excited about the Scribbles thing. So you guys know, I got a super nice shout out. So Kelsey Shannon is an artist that I've been following for a long time. I'd say back 2003, 2002 on the Shing Lines sketchboard. And he was a big influence. He colored Bastard Samurai, really great colorist. And so a few weeks ago, he was talking about his love for Youngblood and Prophet. And so on Twitter, I just happened to see it. And I sent him the Youngblood Scribbles piece. And he was like, dude, that's amazing. Did you do that? I'm like, yeah, totally. He's like, I'd love to see a whole book look like this. So that to me is like, wow, how many years has it been? 14 years later, it's nice to get a compliment from people you looked up to, right? And here's the other thing too, only make the kind of work you want to get paid to do. So if I put the scribbles out there and it's working and I can do a whole book that way, then people are going to hire me to do that. They're not going to hire me to do clean, super perfect art. So that's the goal, right? Get paid to do the things you want to do, which means you have to produce the things you want to get paid to produce. Once I'm done with power prints, commissions will come back. Or the game art. When game art is done, if the contracts are over, there's nothing new coming around the horizon, then I'll use commissions for the game art time. I think that's actually more accurate. But I cannot do commissions, writing, graphic design for Megavisions and Game Cave, illustration for Game Cave, and power prints. And I just can't. Something's got to go away. So, all right, everybody. Turtle scribbles. It's all coming, bro. It's all coming along. It's coming, but you just gotta be patient with me, and we all gotta stay in good health, so we all live long enough to see me do this nonsense. And I will continue to update as I go. All right, everybody, I got to head out of here. Thanks for hanging out. Talk to you later. Bye, everybody.